Hello there, Ray here, and the latest version to the 1.13 Aquatic Update is out. And this is 1.13 Pre-Release 7, and with this version comes a lot of changes with bug fixes, mostly surrounding waterlogged blocks, as well as some controversial changes that they did to the previous snapshot. They fixed an annoying bug that I discovered where if you're inside of a block, you're not able to break the block that you're inside of. Instead, you would end up breaking the blocks that are just outside of that block. But now they fix it, so if I click, I will break the white one and not the orange ones. There has been a lot of complaints with 1.12 worlds being upgraded to 1.13 and them being incredibly laggy. And they said in this pre-release that they have allowed it so that the performance should be better, but it seems that this hasn't been the case, as people are still complaining that when they upgrade, pretty much all the blocks have to be converted from 1.12 to 1.13, and this is really slowing down the game. And people are suggesting that the world should do all this conversion when the world is loading. So in last snapshot, there was a slightly controversial command that they added for survival, which you can press F3 plus I, and it will show you that it has copied some stuff over to your clipboard. But you can see they made some changes. Now it says copied server-side data. So if we paste this into our command, you can see it pastes in pretty much the chest plus everything inside of it. Now prior, it would only tell you that there was a chest here, and it would tell you its location. It wouldn't tell you what was inside it. Now you can still just get that data if you want that too. You can do that by pressing F3 Shift plus I, and this will come up with a lot less data. As you can see, it fits into my chat quite easily. So in your single player world or as the owner or opt, you can get both the client side as well as the server side entity and block data from different blocks and entities in the world. But if it's not your server, such as this account, then this account cannot have access to the server one. Instead, they just have access to the client side entity block. This still means that any player in survival, and I suppose this would also work for multiplayer since this is open LAN world and this is similar to multiplayer. This player has access to getting the information from the horses. And this is why I was trying to explain in the last snapshot that this is really overpowered. This player allows them to be able to see pretty much how fast a horse is, how far he can jump, and all the other stuff, as well as any other type of entity, really specific stuff about them, without having to have any type of cheats on or being opt or anything like that. Now there seems to be a slight bug, I would say, because I opened up this world and I am the owner of it. I should be able to have access to the commands that I just had a couple seconds ago before I opened up into LAN, such as being able to switch using F3 plus N between game modes. But I can still switch game modes, but I just can't do it with using that command. And I could just do it a couple seconds ago, but I did open up a landline saying that I would not allow cheats. But I think the cheats should still apply to me. This also means as soon as I open up the landline, I can no longer do the command with the F3 plus I or the Shift plus F3 plus I. Either way, it don't matter. It only gives me client side, no longer gives me server side, even though I'm the host. Now, when you are the host, such as me, you can see in the top left-hand corner, this is the stuff we looked at last time, the integrated server at the 13 or 14 milliseconds per ticks. And you can also see the 2 TX as well as about 500 RX. We found out that the TX is the number of packets that I'm sending, and then the RX is the number of packets that I'm receiving. Now here I'm on my other account, which joined the landline, and you can see my F3 is a little bit different. So up here, you can see that it just says vanilla survival, and it just says TX as well as RX. It doesn't say how much like ticks per second the server is running at. You also notice that I'm not able to do the other commands. So if I just do F3 plus I, nothing pops up in chat, but I can still do the Shift plus F3 plus I. I would like to see what you guys think about this down in the comments. Do you think it's too overpowered for any player that joins the server to be able to have access to seeing how fast a horse is, as well as seeing how high it's able to jump without even testing the horse, and other stuff that it could apply to, such as seeing zombie stats? There was a pretty crazy bug in the last pre-release that one of the Protect members at Example discovered, where you could use pistons to pull unmovable blocks such as doors or even like grass and other weird stuff. And pretty much what would mostly happen is that the piston would pull and it would just destroy this bottom part and the top part would be left behind. And this worked with a lot of different types of weird blocks. It was pretty funny. We played around with it a bit with our stream, making some weird bed formations and stuff like this, but that has now been fixed. Although it seems to be partly broken with terracotta blocks, here's a sticky piston, and it's still able to pull this terracotta block back. There was an X-ray bug where if you would go underneath of a slab in the water and then stand up, you could see through the walls like X-ray, and it seems to have fixed this. There was a funny way where you could get budded water. I showed this many times during our streams, where you would have a trapdoor like this, and you let the water out, then you close the trapdoor, and the water here would be budded, and it wouldn't update until you put a block beside it. And you can see they have now changed it so that now it updates when you close this door again, so the water goes down. They also made it so that waterlogged blocks can also allow driplets to show from underneath. So here's a waterlogged trapdoor. This is similar to like you see if you had water above a stone and you can see little droplets coming down. They fixed a bug to do with how water will treat waterlogged blocks. So here we have a waterlogged trapdoor, and if we place water over here, will it flow over top of this and continue on to here? No, it won't. So they changed it so now it kind of sees this as being a hole and it will fall down into this and won't continue on. They still haven't fixed this really annoying bug, and I'll link it down in the description, but if you put a water source here and a water source here, you see that they all of a sudden decide to form together and place water inside of this trapdoor. They changed the way that blocks show up on maps. If you want to learn more about it, I'll put a link in the description. But some things they changed, such as like waterlogged blocks, as you can see in front of me, there's a little dot for my character, and that is this fence here. If I remove it, then there is just a waterlogged fence, and this won't show up on a map. Fix a buggy swimming animation where the player looked like he was on top of the water walking, but he'd be swimming. Stats about swimming were being kept incorrectly. So here is your stats, and down here you can see now they have the distance swum. And they also have a new one that's called distance walked underwater. So these are different. And notice that the statistics page is a little bit messed up. Here you got some of the more important stuff down at the bottom, and it's kind of scrambled, like not in the right order. You typically have the most important stuff at the very top here. They fixed cartographers completely now, so now they will not only sell you the Ocean Explorer map, they also sell the Woodland Mansion Explorer map, which allows you to actually find these things because they're pretty tough to find. They fixed it so that waterlogged blocks will also decrease the light levels when light goes through them. So you can see right beside this post, it is 5, as well as anywhere else in the water it's 5. Or it was similar to like having glass, which allows the light to come down through it. And you can see over here, the light level is quite high because it's just pulling the light level from the sky all the way downwards. They fixed a pretty prominent bug, which was the weird structures that you see like stone that was bridging across these ravines. And these were the game trying to generate in caves going through the ravines. And for the most part, this has been fixed, but you can still see a little bit like down here. Here's a cave that's coming from this side and it's going to that side. Here it kind of left this little piece in between. So I don't think that's a big deal, but yeah, I didn't really care for the big chunks that were sitting in the middle of it. And once again fixed so that fences as well as other things that generate with structures will generate in their proper block state. As you can see here, it looks like this fix has been implemented correctly now. I don't see any messed up fences. There was a problem with the snapshots where the game wasn't able to locate the strongholds properly, but now you can see the Eye of Enders will take us towards the stronghold, and even locate command will show us where the strongholds are. A funny bug that we looked at during our streams is if you had something like a coral plant that was waterlogged and you pressed up against a block beside it, your guy would automatically jump up onto this, and they have not fixed this. The change where the suffocation point is on the player in survival, you can see it's a little red line there, and if I go into swim mode, see it's moved downwards. This way you can't suffocate if you press yourself up against a block. Quite annoying bug was when you would load up a new world. As soon as the world would come into view, you'd hear these minecart sounds. And this is an old bug that's from all the way back from 1.7, so it's really nice that they have finally removed this. Chests were generating inside of each other, so we would have like double chests in here, and they have now fixed this. Blocks that take up more than one space, such as doors, were not loading with structures. Redstone dust wasn't connecting properly with the other nearby redstone dust that it could. I do find it odd that observers will show that the redstone dust is creeping up all the sides except for the front. I guess it's similar to like redstone blocks, which it points directly into. It doesn't show it going up the side. But you can also see this in pistons where it doesn't show it going up the sides. But then again, if you remove this one, it would normally not point into it. It fixed the way that you go back into history of different commands. So if I open up chat and I press up with the up key, you can see it goes back to an old command that I typed in. This is different than if you would type chat and then do the slash, then press up, then it give you helpful options. And they tweaked the way that this would work, so it would work a little bit better. Particles from beds exploding were not occurring, but now this has been fixed. Some items weren't consistently showing their new type of color for their text, depending on their rarity, consistently across the different places where you could find them. The bug that we looked at during our streams was a really weird one where if you were in some different types of water level, if you tried to jump up onto nearby blocks, it was just impossible to get one jump at all. It's quite strange, but this has not been fixed. Giant mushroom blocks were generating with using the wrong types of blocks for the sides, so it was looking a little strange, but you can see this hasn't been fixed. You also can see how mushrooms will generate and cut into the tree generation. Here you can see some leaves on this side that come from this tree. Something I pointed out before, there was these weird air gaps along the sides of waterlogged caves, and it seems that they have removed these. They also said they fixed a bug to do with upgrading from 1.12 to 1.13, which was causing games to crash. I personally couldn't open some of my worlds in 1.13, such as my one world that had nothing in it but some stacked minecarts. It would constantly crash when it would try to upgrade to 1.13, and people are saying this bug still exists in pre-release 7. There was some bad memory leaks in the past, where if you would allow the game to continue to run, over time you run out of memory and your game could crash, and they had fixed some of these. Also notice in the top left-hand corner in the F3 screen, we got some more useful tips. So here we can get blocks that we're looking at as well as liquids that we're looking at. Because it was a little bit confusing if we're looking at liquids or blocks. Now they have separated them. So now you can see I'm looking at the liquid that's in front of me, so it's a little bit closer with this digit here. And the block I'm looking at is a little bit farther, so it's a different coordinates. There seems to be a problem with if you go out far and then kill yourself using the command, and then when you're spawned again, you're in ghost mode. I can't switch game modes or anything. It's like everything's lagging. Probably definitely a bug. Seems to be a problem with the TP command too. If you TP and hit tab, you can get the first digit. If you hit space, it's not going to continue on, but you go back and hit the next digit. Hit space, you go back, and then when you hit the next digit, you can see it repeated the first digit twice. Instead, it should be showing the last digit. There still seems to be a slight bug with going into the chat and pressing upwards. Now I'm going to go up to a previous command. So I press upwards, but instead it takes me to advancement. Press it again, it takes me to what I did last, which was going to crave mode. Press up again, it takes me back to advancements for some reason, even though I never used it. Then I go back up and I can see some other commands that I did. For those of you who know the history of Minecraft, you know that the most pre-releases that have ever occurred in Minecraft was 7 pre-releases, and this was with 1.9. Now we are in 1.13, and we're at 7 pre-releases as well, so we've tied the record for the most pre-releases as any version in the past history of Minecraft, and I'm guessing there might even be another pre-release, so this might actually push over the number of pre-releases that came with a single version. So pre-release 7 consists of a lot of bug fixes, mostly around waterlogged blocks, and you also seen that there is still some bugs in the game, so they may come out with a pre-release 8, or else they may just fix all these and clump it into the 1.13 full release. I'd like to thank you for watching, and if you found this interesting, show me with a like and share this with others. If you'd like to see more 1.13 content as well as things I can build in it, go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell button. And if there's any more bugs that you know of that you think should get fixed before the full release, go ahead and tell me down in the comments. Bye-bye.